dha ma ga ma sa ga sa ga ma dha.
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama.
Dha ni dha ma ga sa ga ma dha.
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama.
Ma ga ni dha ma ga ma re ga ma dha ni dha ma dha.
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama.
Ma dha ni dha ma ga ma re dha ni dha ga ma dha.
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama.
Ma dha ni dha ma ga ma re sa dha.
Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama.
Ma dha ni dha ma dha ni dha dha ni dha.
This live satsang is presented by Radha Krishna Foundation in light of the ongoing lockdown and in support of Sri Lakshmi Mandir of West Palm Beach, Florida. Radha Krishna Dham of number 73 Village, Guyana. Dharma Mandir of London, United Kingdom. And Shiva Mandir Ashram of Leguan Island, Guyana.
वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। सद्गुरु महाराज की जय। आदिशक्ति जगदम्बा मैया की जय। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देव महेश्वर गुरुर्साक्षात् परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। सद्गुरु महाराज की जय। विघ्नेश्वराय वरदाय महेश्वराय लंबोदराय सकलाय जगद्दिताय नागाय नागसूर्यज्ञ विभूषणाय गौरीसुताय गणनाथ नमो नमस्ते। सर्वमंगलमांगल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थ साधिके शरण्ये त्र्यंबके गौरी नारायणी नमोस्तुते। बंसी विभूषितकरा नवनीरदाभा पीताम्बराधरुणबिम्बफलाधरोष्टा पूर्णेन सुन्दरमुखा वरनिन्दमुक्ता कृष्णात्वयं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने। वन्दे वृन्दावनानन्दा राधिकां परमेश्वरीं गोपिकां परमां शुद्धां ह्लादनीं शक्तिरूपिणीम्। Devotees of Bhagavan, devotees of Divine Mother, as we're all aware that we've commenced the auspicious season of Navratri yesterday, when we focus our worship and our attention and our adorations to Divine Mother, God in the form of Mother, namely or mainly Mahakali or Durga, Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati, and Durga in her 9 forms, now Durga. A form that even souls of higher levels, as we'll find out from scriptures over the season of Navaratri, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, he instructed Arjuna to pray to Jagadamba Maya right before the war. The gopis, wanting to increase their love for Sri Krishna, prayed to Jagadamba Maya, to Katyayani, one of her 9 forms, so that their love for Krishna can get stronger. When Radharani came as Sita, she also worshipped Durga Maya to win the hands of Bhagavan Shri Ram. So devotees of every level worship the Divine Mother. And so during these 9 days, we will try to, in our best way, to also focus our love on Divine Mother. To begin our satsang today, another thing that we also know as Hindus is that during the season of Navaratri, then all forms of God is worshipped, and there are no restrictions as per tithi, days or time. So to a few different forms of God shall we give prayers as we do our adorations to Jagadamba Maya. Jai Vighaneshwar Jai Jai, Jai Lambodar Jai Jai, Jai Gananayak Jai Sukhdayak, Jai Jai Ganesh Jai Jai, Jai Vighaneshwar Jai Jai, Jai Lambodar Jai Jai, Jai Gananayak Jai Sukhdayak, Jai Jai Ganesh Jai Jai, Jai Vighaneshwar Jai Jai, Jai Lambodar Jai Jai, Jai Gananayak Jai Sukhdayak, Jai Jai Ganesh Jai Jai, Jai Pavan Putra Jai Jai, Jai Ram Dut Jai Jai, Jai Pavan Putra Jai Jai, Jai Ram Dut Jai Jai, Jai Shaktiman Bajrang Ban Jai, Jai Shaktiman Bajrang Ban Jai, Hanuman Jai Jai, Jai Shaktiman Bajrang Ban Jai, Hanuman Jai Jai, Jai Vighaneshwar Jai Jai, Jai Lambodar Jai Jai, Jai Gananayak Jai Sukhdayak, Jai Jai Ganesh Jai Jai, Jai Vighaneshwar Jai Jai, Jai Lambodar Jai Jai, Jai Gananayak Jai सुखदायक जय जय गणेश जय 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 उमाकांत जय 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 उमाकांत जय जय कैलाशपति जय 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 उमाकांत जय जय कैलाशपति जय 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 महाकाल लोचन विशाल जय शिव शंकर जय 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 महाकाल लोचन विशाल जय शिव शंकर जय 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 विघ्नेश्वर जय 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 लंबोदर जय 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 गणनायक जय सुखदायक जय जय गणेश जय 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 विघ्नेश्वर जय 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 लंबोदर जय 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 गणनायक जय सुखदायक जय जय गणेश जय 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 गणनायक जय सुखदायक जय जय गणेश जय 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 गणनायक जय सुखदायक जय जय गणेश जय जय आदि शक्ति दुर्गा माता की जय. Like we said, we're in the season of Navaratri, and so this term is familiar to most of us, if not all of us. Now means 9, and Ratri means night, and so when we think about it, 9 nights, the word 9, the number 9, represents Purnam, represents completion. In numerology, 9 is an auspicious number, together with other numbers. For example, when someone is buying a house, and I'm not telling you to go do this when you buy a house, but they usually call the astrologer, or they check with someone to check the numerology of the address of the house. They check with their lock number, etc. The astrologers know to do this. There's a chart that you compared with the birth of the person and the number of the house, etc. This is not a numerology or astrology course. But the people who are buying the house, if they know this much, that if they add up the house numbers and it equals to 9, they don't bother calling the astrologer. They said this is perfect, it's Purnam, it's complete. It will be very conducive to our operating in this house and our survival and our progress and prosperity. That's just a side note. However, Ratri means means night. And so the Divine Mother is usually worshipped for 9 nights. But when we think about Ratri, why do we want to call now Ratri? Because night is a very peaceful time. At least it's supposed to be. A time when you sleep. There's a waking state during the day, there's a dream state, Swapna Avastha, Jagrat Avastha, and then there's a dreamless state, Sushupti Avastha. At night, we get this kind of rest. When we go into sleep, we know absolutely nothing. It's almost the same at moksha, when you know nothing. Completely peaceful, absolutely peaceful, no dreams. If you're dreaming, you're not sleeping properly. That's a different level of sleep. That's Swapna Avastha, the dream state. However, night means that highest level of peace. And so when we think about night, we think about a time when we're not supposed to be disturbed, a time when we can create for ourselves that which is peaceful and harmless. So in these 9 nights, we worship Durga, Lakshmi, and Saraswati in brief. The first 3 days we attribute to Mother Durga, and second 3 Mahalakshmi, and third Mahasaraswati, because these represents the 3 things that happens to us in life. We heard of the Tina Tap. The 3 things, the 3 situations that we usually or every day of our lives we bump into. One is called Adhyatmik. And Adhyatmik is one of the 3 sufferings that we undergo or experience in life. Adhyatmik is when we have all kinds of pains in the body, pain, a fever, a headache, etc. We get those. Adhyatmik is also of the mind, not only of the body. The body is called Sharirik. But that's for another time, we'll explain that. The second one, this Mahadurga, Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati is Adi Bhautik. And this is when pain is inflicted to us or upon us by others, meaning an animal has hurt us, an insect stung us, etc. The third one is Adi Bhautik. Adi Bhautik means when pain is inflicted upon us by the forces of nature. A hurricane, a flood, typhoon, and the one we know so well now, COVID-19. Adi Daivik. So this Navaratri is separated into 3 parts. And when we pray to Divine Mother in her 3 aspects, we help ourselves to tide over these difficulties that man has to experience in life. In the end, we're supposed to be able to come out brand new, just like how for the number 9, it takes about 9 months roughly for a child, a complete miracle, a human being to be formed in the stomach of the mother. And life begins after 9 months. In the same way, if we perform Navaratri properly, in the end of these 9 days, in this Navaratri especially, there's a day called Dashahara. In the West Indies, we also call it Vijay Dashmi. Vijay means victory. Dashmi means 10. And so, if we do our worship properly, then we're able to tide over the Tina Tap, the 3 levels of sufferings, and we become victorious in life. We're able to destroy the first 3 days when we pray to Durga Maya. She's called Mahakal or Kali, representing the elimination of darkness from our lives. This is Sato, Rajo, and Tamogun. This represents Tamogun, darkness in our lives. Not physical darkness, only darkness of every kind. And then Mahalakshmi represents passion. We want a little bit of divinity, but we also want a little bit of the world. It's called passion, a mixture of that which is sattvic and that which is tamasic. And then the third 3 days, we worship Mahasaraswati. This is absolute purity. She's represented by the color white, the goddess of learning. And so we become pure and we celebrate Vijayadashmi. So again, briefly, today happens to be the second day of Navaratri. On the second day, we worship, Jagadamba Maya has 9 forms. We worship her as Brahmacharini, the goddess of learning and sadhana, the goddess of learning of how to do your sadhana, your prayers, your spirituality, the goddess of learning the sacred scriptures. On the first day of Navaratri, this is dedicated to Shailaputri, the daughter of the mountain. Today is Brahmacharini. Brahmacharini Devi is depicted as absolute focus. Focus on the Supreme Lord, with a determination that everything can be accomplished. So this form of mother represents our spiritual aspirations, our efforts, our practice to reach higher goals. And so many of you would know, if you follow Navaratri, that there's a demon called Mahishasur. Mahish means a buffalo, literally. Asura means a demon. Mahishasura, a great demon. When we think about Mahishasura, we know this katha well, but when we think of Mahishasura, what are we thinking? Have you seen a buffalo before? When you see it, what comes to mind? A buffalo is really nimble and very agile and very chantal, right? Is that right? No. A buffalo looks very lazy and lethargic and doesn't care anything. So Mahishasura represented these qualities. Qualities that would impede your spiritual progress. If you want material progress, these qualities will destroy them. Laziness, wanting to do nothing, not thinking ahead, not planning ahead, just live by whatever comes. These qualities or these negativities need to be conquered, and that is why we need to worship Mahakali or Durga. Because she is the one who came into being to destroy Mahishasura. There's a Mahishasura in all of us. Those tendencies live within all of us. So constantly we have to tap into the divinity of Jagadamba Maya to ensure that we destroy this lethargy, this laziness, this lack of ambition. Ambition meaning in a good way. So Mahishasura was the ruler of the Asuras, the demons. And as we know, Indradev is the king of the Devatas. But there was a war. Like always with the Devatas, we talked about this, the heavenly regions are a temporary place where they have all these inequities. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Ahamkar, they're all in these heavens. None of it is in Bhagavan's abode. So there was a war every time somebody wants to take over Indra's place because it's a happy place. And so Mahishasura, with so much power, he defeated Indra and he took over his throne. Because he conquered all the Devatas and everybody. He became the Lord of heaven. And so Indra, together with Brahmaji, they went to Bhagavan Shankar. And then they went to Bhagavan Vishnu. And they explained what happened, that this Mahishasura has taken over everything. He's taken over heaven. He's taken over the host of the Devatas. And the Devatas are now wandering upon earth like regular human beings. They have no place in heaven anymore because of Mahishasura. So Brahmaji, together with the other Devatas, they were seeking the shelter of Bhagavan Shankar and Vishnu Bhagavan. So what happened? This verse from Durga Saptashati tells us, Idam nijamya devanam vajansi madhusudana chakara kopam shumbhasya brukuti kutilananao. So they explained everything to Bhagavan Shankar, the Devatas did, and to Bhagavan Vishnu. And what happened during this is how the Divine Mother came into being, right? When they explained everything to Bhagavan Vishnu and Shivaji and Brahma, the Trinity became very dissatisfied and very, very annoyed. And so they frowned their faces. Mind you, this is written in the Devi Saptashati, and the Devi Saptashati is a part of the Markandeya Purana, I think. Markandeya Purana, chapter 74, 287, something. It's about 13 chapters. This constitute the Saptashati, where this verses come from, or where this katha is coming from. So Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh made they frowned their faces, and because of that, a great light emanated from their faces and from their bodies. And from this great light, it was a concentration of light from the three, and then from all the Devatas together. And this light looked like a blazing mountain, and it was illuminating every part of the universe. And so that divine light, as it projected forward, what happened, it produced the body, that unique light. From Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh and all the other devatas, it combined into a female form, the lights of Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. From the light of Bhagavan Shankar, from the face of Bhagavan Shankar, the face of that female form was created. From the light of Bhagavan Vishnu, her arms were created, the arms of that female form. By Brahma's light, her feet were created, etc. This happened, this formed into the Divine Mother. This light from the faces of Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh and all the other forms of God, devatas, this created a female form that is called Durga. And so where did she get her weapons from? In a similar way, Bhagavan Shankar, from his own Trishul, he extracted a Trishul and gave it to Divine Mother, Vishnu. Bhagavan Vishnu, he carries Sudarshan Chakra. He extracted a Sudarshan Chakra from his Sudarshan Chakra and gave it to Divine Mother. Brahmaji, Brahmaji is famous for his water pot, right? His kamandal. It is from that kamandal, you remember the katha, that kamandal that he washed Bhagavan's feet, his toenail, and he kept it in there. It is that water, because of the tapasya of Bhagirath. This is another katha, but just for information's sake. It is that water that became the Ganga, that came on earth, because this water came from the toenail of Bhagavan, and then into the kamandal of Brahma, and then the tapasya of Bhagirath, and it flowed from the heavens onto the jata of Bhagavan Shankar, and then upon earth. Another katha, another time we'll talk about that. But from that kamandal, he gave the Divine Mother a kamandal as well. So, the Durga, she also rides on a lion. That is why she is called Himachal Devi. Himawat, the mountain. You know Himalaya? So Himawat, the mountain, gave the Divine Mother a lion. She's called Sheravali. You know the bhajan? Sheravali? She's called Sheravali because she rides on a lion, and this was given to her by Himawat, by Himalaya. And so seeing that, all the devatas got very, very happy, and they started chanting. Jai Ho Ma, Jai Ho, they saw this divine form, because this is the form that has now come to destroy Mahishasura. So there was a great battle. We would not read that katha today. I'm sure you've heard it so many times. There was a great battle, and in the end, Jagadamba Maya, taking 9 forms, etc., she was able to defeat Mahishasura. While she was doing that, Mahishasura kept transforming. His original form is of a buffalo. But he changed into a lion, he changed into a man, he changed into an elephant. He tried everything. And then back to a buffalo. The philosophical lesson in this is that this represents a never-ending chain of desires that we have as human beings. Ill-directed desires, not desires as a whole. Because Mahishasura did everything to try to win. So Mahishasura was destroyed by the Divine Mother, and that is how this form of the Divine Mother that we know comes into being. But like we said, yesterday we worship Shailaputri, who also holds a trident, a half moon, etc. And today Brahmacharini. So, in the same way that Divine Mother has destroyed Mahishasura, an extremely powerful demon, in the same way, let us all focus our minds on the Divine Mother as we chant a few verses from what is called the Bhavanashtakam, Bhavani Ashtakam, Bhavani, remember Bhavani? The first aspect of the 9 forms of Divine Mother. This is Durga, it's no different from Durga. But if you have the Bhavana Ashtakam, I think the lyrics will be made available to you. So let us focus our minds on that divine form of Jagadamba Maya, or in her terrible form, if this is what you prefer, as Mahakali. Let us ask her in the same way that she has destroyed Mahishasura, in the same way to destroy all the troubles that we go through in life on a daily basis. The first verse, Na tato, na mata, na bandhur, na data. Here this verse is saying by Adi Shankaracharya that I rely not on father or mother, na tato, na mata, na bandhur, na data. No relation or friend or no giver. Na putro, na putri. I rely not on sons and daughters of the world or my sons and daughters. Na mrityo, na bharta. Not on my servants or my spouse. Na jaya, na vidya, na vrittir mamaiva. I cannot rely for spiritual growth neither from my spouse or from worldly knowledge. Vrittir mamaiva, not my profession either. Gatistam, gatistam, Tvameka Bhavani. That you are my refuge, Gati. O Divine Mother, only you, not only in the season of Navaratri, but you have unconditional love for your children. And so it is you, Gatistam, Gatistam, Tvameka Bhavani, that we bow to, that we rely upon. O Bhavani Ma, please do shower your blessings, remove all that needs to be removed that creates difficulties and sufferings in our lives, because we come to you for shelter. Let's group our voices together. This is Ashtaka means 8. We will not chant 8 mantras. We will chant 2 or 3, maybe 4 the most. But group your voices together and pray. This is a powerful stotra in the Bhavan Ashtakam. Na tato, na mata, na bandhur, na data, na putro, na putri, na mrityo, na bharata, na jaya, na vidyana, vrittir mamaiva, gatistam, gatistam, Tvameka Bhavani. Gatistam, gatistam, Tvameka Bhavani. Na janami dhanam, na cha dhyana yogyam. Neither do I know charity. I have not done in charity, O Divine Mother. Nor do I know how to do meditation and yoga. Na janami tantam, na ta srota mantram. I do not know to practice tantras. I do not know to chant hymns and prayers. Na janami pujam, na cha nyasa yogam. That I do not know how to worship, how to do puja to you. I do not know the science of yoga. What I do know is that if I come to you, Gatistam, Gatistam, Tvameka Bhavani, that you will accept me as your child. Na janami dhanam, na cha dhyana yoga, na न जानामि तन्त्रं न च श्रोतमन्त्रम् न जानामि पूजां न न्यासयोगम् गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि गतिस्त्वं गतिस्त्वं त्वमेका भवानि Vivade, Vishade, Pramade, Pravashe. This is one verse of the prayer that we should all learn. This is generally called a travel prayer when we're traveling. When you go into our cars, in an aeroplane, wherever we're going, as long as we're traveling, whether it's to another country, devotees of Divine Mother always chant this prayer. Vivade, Vishade, Pramade, Pravashe means in another country, in a foreign land. If I end up in disputes and quarrels, if I end up in despair and dejection, if I end up in insanity, losing my mind, making bad decisions in a foreign land where I know no one, where I'm all alone. Jale chanale parvate shatru madhye. Jale, whether I find myself in water alone. Chanale, if I'm threatened by fire. Parvate, if I find myself on a mountain alone. Shatru madhye, surrounded by enemies, O Divine Mother. Aranye sharanye sadamam prapahi. Aranye, if I'm in the forest alone. Sharanye, please grant upon us a direction, a light, a protection. Sadamam prapahi. Gatistam gatistam tvameka bhavani. Vivade, Vishade, Pramade, Pravashe, Jale chanale parvate shatru madhye. Aranye sharanye sadamam prapahi. Gatistam gatistam tvameka bhavani. Gatistam gatistam tvameka bhavani. Anato daridro jararoga yukta. That in comparison to you, dear Mother, I'm helpless. If I'm poor, daridro, if I have no wealth, if I'm afflicted, jara roga yukto, rog, if I'm afflicted, I'm sick. When I become old and if I become diseased, Mahakshina Dina Sadajara Vaktaha. Mahakshin, you're Deen, O Divine Mother. If I become very weak and miserable in life, if no one else would ever support me, if I'm left alone in this world, Vipattau pravishtam pranashta sadaham. If I'm falling apart or fallen apart, if I'm always surrounded by, if I'm lost in troubles, pranashta sadaham, if I'm lost in troubles and miseries, O Divine Mother, Gatistam, Gatistam. You're my Gati, you're my refuge, you're my abode, you're my shelter. I rely, I count upon you. I know, Divine Mother, you look out and protect this child of yours. Anatho daridro jararogayukto mahakshina dina sadajarvaktra vipatto pravishta pranashta sadaham gatistam gatistam tvameka bhavani gatistam gatistam tvameka bhavani. प्रेम से बोलो आदि शक्ति दुर्गा माता की जय.
Radha Krishna Foundation presents an international event. Friday, November 13th, 2020. Deepavali, Return of Light. Radha Krishna Foundation presents an international event. Friday, November 13th, 2020. Deepavali, Return of Light.
आदि शक्ति दुर्गा माता की जय. Durgati Nashini, Durga Jai Jai. Nashini means to destroy. Kala Vinashini, Durga Jai Jai. Kal can mean black, it can mean time. So Divine Mother destroys that which is dreadful. Kala Vinashini, that dark color of Divine Mother, Kalaratri or Kali, also destroyed Mahishasur. Durgati Nashini Durga Jai Jai. Kala Vinashini Durga Jai Jai. दुर्गति नाशिनी दुर्गा जय जय काल विनाशिनी दुर्गा जय जय दुर्गति नाशिनी दुर्गा जय जय काल विनाशिनी दुर्गा जय जय दुर्गति नाशिनी दुर्गा जय जय काल विनाशिनी दुर्गा जय जय दुर्गा विनाशिनी दुर्गा जय जय काल विनाशिनी दुर्गा जय जय दुर्गति नाशिनी दुर्गा जय जय काल विनाशिनी दुर्गा जय जय दुर्गति नाशिनी दुर्गा जय जय काल विनाशिनी दुर्गा जय जय स्वरोचिष्टेन्तरे पूर्वं पूर्वचैत्रवसंभवः सुरतो नाम राजा भूतसमस्ते क्षितिमण्डले दुर्गत नाशिनी दुर्गा जय जय काल विनाशिनी दुर्गा जय जय दुर्गति नाशिनी दुर्गा जय जय काल विनाशिनी दुर्गा जय जय दुर्गति नाशिनी दुर्गा जय जय काल विनाशिनी दुर्गा जय जय दुर्गति नाशिनी दुर्गा जय जय काल विनाशिनी दुर्गा जय जय दुर्गति नाशिनी दुर्गा जय जय काल विनाशिनी दुर्गा जय जय दुर्गति नाशिनी दुर्गा जय जय काल विनाशिनी दुर्गा जय जय काल विनाशिनी दुर्गा जय जय काल विनाशिनी दुर्गा जय आदि शक्ति दुर्गा माता की जय. So like we said earlier, this is from Markandeya Puran. Extracted from Markandeya Puran is this scripture that we call it Durga Saptashati. This just means 700 verses of Durga. There are many names depending on if you're from North India, you're from South India, you're from Bengal, they have different names. Chandi Pat. Pat means reading essentially, chanting, like when we do Ramayana Pat, we chant the whole Ramayana, or Durga Pat. It's also called a Devi Mahatam, meaning it contains the greatness of Divine Mother. So from about chapter 74 to 86, about 13 chapters of Markandeya Puran, here you can find a Durga Pat. A Durga Pat that we read when, you know how you have Durga Puja, the Pandit comes and he reads a little bit from Durga Pat. So here this verse is saying, this is chapter 1. This verse is saying that there was a king by the name of Surat. This talks about a different aspect of the Divine Mother. We discussed earlier how the Divine Mother appeared in this form that we know, with 8 arms, etc. But the Divine Mother she works in us as human beings in so many different ways. And over the next few sessions, we will discuss a few of those ways the Divine Mother works within us. So there was a king by the name of Surat, and Surat means, some of you might know Rat means a chariot. So this essentially means a good chariot. Su, when Su is added in front as a prefix to any word, it glorifies that word, right? Like Suputra, a dear son, a loving son. So Surat means a good chariot, literally. So what a good chariot means, a conveyor of good thoughts. A good person, a conveyor, a person who carries and has good thoughts. So this king, Surat, ruled over the whole world at that time. And he did a fantastic job. He protected his subjects, like his own children, according to Saptashati. At one point in time, he ended up in a battle with another kingdom, but he was defeated. And so when he was defeated, he returned to his own city, to his own kingdom, and he started ruling this kingdom. When weaknesses was spotted, was seen in this king because he was defeated, even his own ministers, they started getting ideas. And so he was now attacked by his own people. They form a coup, They made arrangement with the others who defeated the king, and they all came together and they attacked the king in his own kingdom. They attacked him. he was defeated, he became bereft of strength, he was robbed of everything he had as a king, all his treasury. He was robbed of his army, of course. Because everyone, they became evil disposed, having ideas of how to do the wrong thing to get some material benefits. So this King Surat, deprived of his sovereignty, he left his kingdom alone. He jumped on the back of a horse and he went into the dense forest. But he told them, look, I'm going hunting. But he went into the forest with other intentions because he didn't want anything to do with the kingdom. He lost everything, so he wasn't going to live there as a regular person. So he rode on his horse until he found a hermitage, an ashram. In this ashram, there was a sage by the name of Medha. This was according to the first verse of Devi Saptashati of Markandeya Puran. You know, Medha, when you look at the word, it means intellect. So the rishi was one of sharp intellect, but not just sharp intellect, a sharp intellect of love. An intellect to guide not only you, but to guide others. That is the meaning of Medha. This was the name of the rishi. So this king saw this hermitage and he decided to spend some time there. So he's walking around, moving around the hermitage, not getting in contact with the rishi as yet, but just checking out everything, see what best he can make of this place. But while he was there in this ashram, a spiritual place with a divine personality, he was still overcome by attachment. Attachment of everything he had before, his kingdom, his family, etc. He's a human being. And so he's asking himself that, I do not know whether the kingdom is being, guarded righteously, or if it's guarded by these evil people. I do not know what the enjoyment of my elephants are. Like, are my elephants enjoying themselves the way I used to keep them happy? He's thinking about all the people he used to be king for, his followers, so many people would follow a king, being his servants, and he used to treat them really well. And now he's thinking, I wonder if they're getting the same favors from the other evil-minded people who are running my kingdom today, or they're being mistreated. So many other people used to get riches from me. I used to give them food. They used to show me so much respect, and now today they're giving that respect and that homage to other kings. The treasury which I gathered with so much care and hard work will now be squandered. Everything would be squandered that I worked for so long. So evidently, this King Surat had given up everything, well, forcefully, but he had nothing left. He had gone into the forest to retire. He went into the ashram, a spiritual environment, but by no stretch of the imagination is he a renunciate. Why? Because renunciation is not a physical thing. This is something that many people would have wrong. That if you want to renounce and serve God, that you need to give up everything. Family, wealth, house, etc., etc. According to Sanatana Dharma, real renunciation happens from within, and you can have everything in the world, and yet you can be a renunciate. There are enough examples in Sanatana Dharma like that. Raja Dashrath, Janak, many examples. They had inexhaustible wealth, yet they were completely detached and renounced from everything, and they attained God. But giving up everything and going to the forest doesn't necessarily mean that you've renounced everything. That is not renunciation. That's not detachment. If the mind is attached, you might as well live in the world. So Surat here clearly was thinking about all these things. So he wasn't renouncing anything. He was being impractical. Being impractical meaning that, some of us, we go to great lengths in doing tapasya, right? Some of us might do different vrats and fasting. Some of us might go to India For example, we'll go to the Govardhan mountain and we'll do parikrama around the Govardhan mountain, and when we're there, we feel very fortunate. We are very fortunate to go there to where Bhagavan was. But then the mind is someplace else. The mind is on the business at home, it's on the children at home, it's on everything. So you're at the Govardhan and you're thinking about something else. So this is what Surat was doing, not making use of the spiritual environment. Remember, mana eva manushyanam karanam bandhamoksha. Brahma Bindu Upanishad, second verse says that the mind alone, not mind also, mind alone will determine whether you're in bondage or whether you become free. So in Surat case, he's in a place where he can become free, but he's bound by the mind, and he will not become free. He's having unrealistic expectation of the people who just fired him from his own kingdom. When you have expectations of people, what are you doing? This is a great life lesson. The only thing that can come when you have expectations of others is setting yourself up to be what? To be disappointed. That's the only thing that can happen. Sometimes things would go your way. Oh, this is a good person, that's a good person, he has done this to me, he has done... At some point in time, we as human beings, internally and spiritually and naturally, we're designed to look out for ourselves. Yes, we're danis, we will help this person and that person, family, etc. But at some point in time, we'd have to look out for ourselves. We're designed like that. It wouldn't be wrong. So these same people that threw him out of his ashram, he's now thinking about others, he's having expectations of these people, and he has set himself up for disappointment. But that's another katha. Near the hermitage, he realized that there is this Brahman. His name was Medha, but as he's walking around the ashram, he saw someone. He saw a merchant, and he asked this merchant. The merchant looked very suspicious, not like an ashram vasi, someone who's living there, someone with a higher level of spirituality. He saw a merchant, and he asked him, who are you? What is the reason for your coming here? That you look afflicted with grief. Surat, the king, is telling the merchant, hey, you look afflicted with grief. You look very depressed in your mind. The merchant is saying. Isn't this very funny? The merchant, the king is telling the merchant that, hey, you look very depressed. In the meantime, he's the one who was most depressed. He's thinking about all the things he just lost. And so the merchant decided that he'll answer him. And so we'll look at another verse from Devi Saptashati and see what did the merchant say to him.
Durga Bhavani Ma Jai Jai Ambe Ma Durga Bhavani Ma Jai Jai Ambe Ma Kali Kapalini Ma Jai Jai Ambe Ma Kali Kapalini Ma Jai Jai Ambe Ma Durga Bhavani Ma Jai Jai Ambe Ma Durga Bhavani Ma Jai Jai Ambe Ma Uttarairairnirastascha Dhanalokabhada sadhubi Bihanasya dhanairdoraih पुत्रैरादाय मे धनं दुर्गा भवानी माँ जय जय अम्बे माँ दुर्गा भवानी माँ जय जय अम्बे माँ परम शिवानी माँ जय जय अम्बे माँ दुर्गा भवानी माँ जय जय अम्बे माँ जय जय अम्बे माँ जय जय अम्बे माँ.
So here Surat the king is asking, and this merchant is now answering. He says, look, this is the 20th verse, that I'm a merchant. My name is Samadhi. Samadhi here, we know this word, right? Samadhi meaning the 8 limbs of yoga. Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi. Samadhi is the last one. When you transcend. Deep meditation. Tremendous mental focus is the meaning of Samadhi. Pure perception. Because when we get to this level, our thinking is purified. This merchant is saying to the king Surat that, look, I was born in a very wealthy family, but I've been cast out by my sons and my wife. Putraya. I've been thrown out by my wife and my sons, who were taken over by greed for my wealth. And I've come to the forest because I'm grief-stricken, obviously. And as I dwell here, I don't know what to do. I have nothing. I don't know what to do. I don't know what is good. I don't know what is bad. I don't know who is good. I don't know who is bad. I don't know the meaning of wife. I don't know the meaning of sons or children. Look what they have done to me. So Surat, the king, says, why is your mind so affectionately attached to those very covetous people, of course, your family, who have just thrown you out of your own business and taken all your wealth away? It's very interesting that Surat is saying this. Isn't it very simple? It's extremely simple to see the faults in others. Surat has a truckload of all these faults within him. He's thinking the same thing, but he has seen the faults in Samadhi, in the merchant. And he's questioning him. Hey, why are you thinking like that? Why are you so attached to all those people who have just done you real bad? This is the beauty of Sanatan Dharma. You know, there's a nice little chaupai that tells us this.
आथव जता लाभ संतोषा सपने हु नहीं दे कि परदोषा आथव जता लाभ संतोषा सपने हु नहीं देखिए परदोषा राजा राम 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 सीता राम 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 राजा राम 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 सीता राम 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 राजा राम 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 सीता राम 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 राजा राम 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 सीता राम राम आथव जता लाभ संतोषा.
Remember this katha? Naura Bhakti. Bhagavan Sri Ram was revealing this to Shebari. About the 9 forms of devotion, Athau means 8. And so the 8th form of devotion is that Santosha, that person who remains contented with whatever he has, but more important is Sapanehu nahi dekhiye paradosha. Sapanehu here means in a dream, that not even in a dream should a human being dekhiye paradosh, the dosh, to find the faults of others. Not even a dream. If you want to attain Bhagwan's blessings, Sri Ram is saying, this is not something that we should be involved in. Look how easily Surat is finding the faults of Samadhi, the merchant, when he's no different. Surat knowing his situation, Samadhi thinking this is a person who understands me. You think he understands? He's in the same exact position. And so they decided to go to Medha. So they approached the Rishi. They sat next to him, they paid their respect to the Rishi, and they said, "Dear Lord," they gave their respect to Medha, "that we wish to ask you something." Now Surat is speaking, and he's saying that, look, my mind is very afflicted with sorrow, though I have lost everything. I have lost my entire kingdom. But I'm so very sad, and I don't know what to do. I know I'm supposed to get this over and try to work on my spirituality, but I'm like an ignorant man. I have a very, very strong attachment to everything that I had. How is this? And my friend here, this merchant, he has been disowned by his own children and family, by all his servants. They've forsaken him. These are all his own people. And he's completely affectionate towards them. So the question was now given to Samadhi. And so the Rishi decides that he'll help them. This is what the Rishi says to them.
Ambe Ma Tere Rupa Hazar. Ambe Ma Tere Rupa Hazar. Rup means a form of Divine Mother. Hazar, you can say countless or thousands. Tere naam ke hai jaikar. We should do jaikar of the Divine Mother. Jagadamba Maiya ki jai. Ambe Ma Tere Rup Hazar. Tere naam ke kai jaikar. Ambe Ma Tere Rup Hazar. Tere Ma ke hai jaikar. Ambe Ma Tere Rup Hazar. Ambe Ma Tere Rup Hazar. Tere naam ke hai jaikar. Ambe Ma Tere Rup Hazar. Tere Ma ke hai jaikar. Ambe Ma Tere Rup Hazar. Tere naam ke hai jaikar. Vishesya Mahabhaga Yani Chaivam Pritak Pritak Dibandha Pranina Kechit Ratra Bandha Stata Pare. Ambe Ma Tere Rup Hazar. Tere Ma ke jai jaikar. Ambe Ma Tere Rup Hazar. Tere naam ke hai jaikar. Tere naam ke hai jaikar. Tere naam ke hai jaikar. Jagadamba Maiya ki jai. So here the verse of the Rishi now is speaking to Surat, the king, and Samadhi, the merchant. He says to them, among many other things, he says, when he listened to their story and how bound and attached and miserable they were, not learning from the experience that they've gone through, he says, some people, some beings are blind by day. The Rishi is telling the two of them. And others are blind by night. He went on further to tell them that some people have equal sight, both by day and by night. And some people, they are blind both in the day and in the night. These are the words of Samadhi, of Medha, Rishi Medha. Very telling words. This, everyone understands, this is, very deep, tremendous philosophy, but everyone understands what this means. Sometimes there's something right in front of us and we can't see it. And sometimes something would be in the dark, but we see it, meaning it doesn't belong to us. It has nothing to do with us. It's none of our business, but we still see it. It will give us trouble, but we're blind towards it because it glitters on the outside. It represents darkness, but we really want it. We're blind during the day and night. It's not our business, but we want to get involved. I remember really long ago, I was very little, I don't know if I remember it properly now. Someone told me, it was so impacting that I remember this quote, that the best business in the line of business, okay, can't remember it, is to mind your own business. And if you don't have a business of your own, then make it your duty to leave mine alone. Have you ever heard that? That has nothing to do with the katha, I'm just saying. But the Rishi is saying that some people are blind by day and some are blind by night. Something is right in front of us, it's good for us, but we're not going to touch it. Oh, no, I want nothing to do with that. Especially sometimes spirituality. No. I'm okay. I don't have to do that. No, I don't have to go YouTube. No, I don't have to make that charity. I don't have to go to... That's what it means. The Rishi is saying that man can only escape delusion, this Maya, through the power of Mahamaya. Mahamaya? The great measurement of consciousness. Mahamaya or Yoga Nidra of Bhagavan. The Rishi is saying to them, now he's providing them a remedy to their problems. He says that Mahamaya, this is another name for Divine Mother, or Yoga Nidra, another name, or Bhagavati, another name. These are names that the Rishi was calling and saying to them. So they're asking, who's this person you're talking about? Who's this Mahamaya? How did she come into being? What is her form? Where did she originate? All of this we wish to know. So they're saying to the Rishi, we wish to know this. So Yoga Nidra is another name for the Divine Mother, and this is the form of the Divine Mother is responsible for sleep. That we know. Anyways, they're asking the Rishi to explain to them, where did this Divine Mother come from, and all these things. So he's explaining to them, the Rishi's explaining, we're trying to make the katha short to finish in the next few minutes. So at the end of the kalpa, at the end of one kalpa, remember that? It's about 311 trillion years. You know the count by now, right? We've talked about it a couple of times here. End of kalpa is when the earth goes into Mahapralay, when the entire earth is what's the word? Inundated. When there's a flood on earth. They're pralay and then they're mahapralay. Pralays happen every 4.3 billion years, but mahapralay is when the entire earth is flooded. This katha is written in the Satpat Brahman, in the scripture, and a few Puranas in Sanatan Dharma, but this katha is also written in the Holy Quran. And it's also written in the Holy Bible, as the story of Noah. But this is in the Hindu scriptures also. So that's what we're talking about here. When the earth is inundated completely, So the Rishi just explained to them very briefly how did the mother come into being, and this would give us an insight as to how the mother operates within us as well. You remember that? Karala vindena parara vindam. Know that slok when Sri Krishna on a little leaf floating on the water alone, there is nothing else. Sri Krishna, Bhagavan Vishnu is an extension of Sri Krishna. So here the Katha says that this Bhagavan Vishnu stretched out in his Sheshanag in the ocean, taking a slumber because it's pralay, nothing is happening, there's nothingness in the world except water. Two terrible asuras by the name of what? Madhu and Kaitab. Sprung from the dirt of the air of Bhagavan Vishnu. They're demons, and so they wanted to destroy Brahmaji. So they tried to destroy Brahmaji, and so Brahmaji started praying. He didn't know what else to do. Bhagavan Vishnu is in Yoga Nidra. Yoga Nidra means he is in divine sleep, yogic sleep. He cannot be awakened. But this yogic sleep is when we address Divine Mothers like this. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Nidra Rupena Samsrita Namastasyai 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 Namo Nama. When you say Nidra Rupen means form. Nidra means sleep. So when we enjoy our sleep, this is a feature, a grace of the Divine Mother. She's Nidra Rupena Samsita. She also gives this divine yogic sleep to Bhagavan Vishnu in Pralay, and so he's in Yoga Nidra. So that is another name for Divine Mother, Yoga Nidra. So Brahmaji, who was now very scared, he wanted some help. He doesn't know how to wake Bhagavan Vishnu from Yoga Nidra, so he needed Yoga Nidra Devi herself to be extricated from the form of Mahavishnu so that he can come up and he can destroy these demons. Madhu and Kaitab. It's very interesting how they got these names, but we'll talk about that another night. Madhu and Kaitab. So Brahmaji started chanting praise of Divine Mother because he wanted her to come out of Bhagavan Vishnu so that he can be awakened. So he started doing prayers, long prayers. We wouldn't be chanting that now, but having heard the prayers from Brahmaji, the Divine Mother, she drew herself out from the eyes of Bhagavan Vishnu. Because of her power, because she is Yoga Nidra, the one who gives sleep, if she extricates herself from the eyes, then one would be awakened. And so because of the prayers of Brahmaji, Yoga Nidra, the Divine Mother, came out of the eyes and all the other parts of Janardhan, it says, of Bhagavan Vishnu, and he rose up. He fought with Madhu and Kaitab. He fought with them for a long time. They tried to trick him, they did everything. Mahamaya was there, and in order to bring the fight to an end, she tricked. She used her power to trick Madhu and Kaitab into thinking. This is why Divine Mother is the one who makes the impossible into possible. And we'd look at, there's so many things I'm saying we'd look at, I don't know what we'll look at, but we'll look at some of this later also in our next session. She used her power to go into the minds of Madhu and Kaitab into thinking that they are more powerful than Bhagavan Vishnu, and to ask of Bhagavan Vishnu, to tell Bhagavan Vishnu that, look, you can't defeat us, but we'll give you a boon. Ask for a boon. They're telling Bhagavan Vishnu, Madhu and Kaitab, ask for a boon. So Bhagavan Vishnu says, okay, so my boon is that if you're satisfied with a fight by now, then you must both be slain. And with Mahamaya, the Divine Mother, working in their mind, changing their mind, they said, okay, no problem. This is our boon to you. And so this is how Madhu and Kaitab were destroyed, because the Divine Mother manifests in different ways, in yogic sleep, and in so many other different ways. in her devotees. She's called Chitta Shakti. She's called Swarupa Shakti. She's called Durga, Mahamaya, Yoga Nidra, etc. She creates a veil between absolute reality and the world. That is why it's called Maya. You know, we're reading Bhagavad Gita, and so in just a few verses from now, I think it's the 14th verse of Bhagavad Gita, where Bhagavan says, Mama Maya Duratyaya. Most of us know Maya as an illusion. That's not correct. We will find out from Bhagavad Gita what Maya is. Maya, Yoga Maya, is nothing but Divine Mother Durga. This is what Maya is. Because Bhagavan says, Mama Maya Duratyaya. We'll learn that from Bhagavad Gita a couple of weeks from now. So, this Maya creates a veil between Bhagavan and the world. So, Surat and Samadhi, they Parvatvasini Tera Palanahara Maya Meri Tera Palanahara Suno Meri Devi Parvatvasini Tera Palanhara O Maya Meri Tera Palanhara Arhanam Chakatustasya Pushpadhupagnitaarpaneha Niraharayataharo Tanmanasko Samahito Tera Palanhara Tera Palanhara O Maya Meri Tera Palanhara O Maya Meri Tera Palanhara Sun Meri Devi. Everyone knows this bhajan, right? This verse explains the worship that they did. You see the verse, it says, Pushpa Dhupa Agni Tarpanaiha Nirahara Yataharo. It talks of all the things that were used to worship Divine Mother. This is where this bhajan that is made was based on. You remember the words? I don't know the words. You remember it? Pan supari dhwaja nariyal Suno meri devi Parvat nivasini Tera palanhara Maya Mori Tera palanhara Maya Meri Tera palanhara Adi Shakti Durga Mata Ki Jai. So this verse is saying that both the king Surat and merchant Samadhi, they took the advice of the rishi and they went on the bank of the river. They installed a murti of Divine Mother. Arhanam Chakatustya Pushpadhup Agni Tarpanai. They made a murti of the Divine Mother. They did Niraharo, Yataharo, meaning they did fasting. Niraharo, Yataharo means you cut down on your regular portions. You know, those of you who want to fast for Divine Mother, then fasting is a sacrifice, right? So if you're eating 3 meals a day, and maybe eat 2. If you're eating like, I don't know, half a pot of rice, maybe eat less. So it's a sacrifice. So do a little bit less. Nirahara, Yatahara, fast, or do something about what you consume. Make a sacrifice for Divine Mother in her name. Not for you, for her. and still you'll get all the benefits. So they did fasting. Pushpa, dhupa, agni. They used flowers. They used dhup, meaning, agarbatti. Agni means they did havan, and tarpanaya means they did water offering. Because where they are, there's no panchamrit and things like that, so they use water, whatever they had. Like Bhagavan Sri Ram, how he used the Ganga Jal to do worship on the lingam of Bhagavan Shankar in Rameshwaram. What you have, it's okay. It's how you do it, not what you do, right? It's how you offer. So they only had water, they did tarpanai, nirahara, they fasted, tanmanaskau. But whatever they did, their minds were completely focused on Divine Mother, samahitau. In the end, they got all the results they were looking for. The Durga Saptashati says that the Divine Mother, after they did all that worship for 3 years, they performed this worship non-stop, every single day, with their minds completely fixed on Divine Mother. They worshipped it, they chanted the Devi Suktam, and they did meditation. When they're not physically worshipping, they did meditation and chanting. They did that for 3 years. When that happened, then Goddess Durga appeared in front of them, and she offered them all the things that were in their mind. And so we're jumping from chapter 1 to chapter 13. This talks about, what they were told, what they did in details. But in the last chapter, there are 13 chapters in the Durga Path in Saptashati. And so in the last chapter, it says here, Yat pararyate tvaya bhuta tvaya chakulu nandana matastat prapyatam sarve puritushta dadamitat. That Divine Mother was ready to give them everything that they required. And so the king Surat, when they were asked, whatever you want, please ask, I'm giving you a boon. Divine Mother appeared. The king, who had lost everything, he asked for an imperishable kingdom, a kingdom he cannot lose, that would not be destroyed, that would stay with him not only in this life but in further lives, in future lives. He also asked that he gets back the kingdom that he lost. And so this is the gist of trying to bring the katha to an end. So he asked for that. The Divine Mother told him that in just a few days you'll get your kingdom back. He also asked for a kingdom in his future life. Divine Mother said, so be it. And so this is why this king, Surat, was born as a son of the sun, right? If you follow, this is a big explanation. The son, S-O-N, of S-U-N, Vaivashvat. He was born the son of Vaivashvat, which means the sun. His name was Savarni. Savarni is known as the Manu. You know Manu? Manu is that person, the firstborn, the first human beings. Manu and Satrupa. Like in other religions, they have Adam and Eve, etc. In Sanatan Dharma is Manu. Manu being the first man. And so his name Savarni, he became the first Manu because he was born of the sun because of his worship. His sincere worship to Divine Mother. He was born as the son of the sun. His name was Savarni. He was Manu, and he lived for that. And this is a little bit of technicality, but he lived for a long, long time. We'll explain that another time. For as long as a Manu, we talk about kalp, etc. It's many kalpas, 71 kalpas. So Samadhi, the businessman, asked for the wisdom that removes ego, that removes attachment from worldly objects. He didn't want to get caught up in these things again. So he asked Divine Mother that if I have to get the world again, remove the attachment and the ego from me, the things that make me think that they're mine and I'll have them forever. Divine Mother said, so be it. And because he asked for that, at the end of his life, he got his kingdom, he ruled it, he never had any trouble again, all his riches he got back at the end of his life. he also got liberation. He didn't have to go through this suffering again. So here, Surat asked for one thing, Samadhi asked for something else. Surat was able to live because he was born a Savarni for 1 manvantar. It's a really long time. And Samadhi enjoyed his wealth and got liberation. We'll close the katha here. So this is the benefits. This is one of the aspects of Divine Mother, the aspect of sleep. We know that she came into her physical being by the lights of Bhagwan Shankar, by Bhagwan Vishnu and Brahma, and she's ready to destroy Mahishasur. She destroyed Mahishasur, and she can do that for us in our lives. If we do our worship like Surat and Samadhi, then we will be able to get whatever we want in life that would not be harmful to us. Remember, they got their wealth again, but now they know how to handle it, so it wouldn't bring harm to them. Us too can get this kind of grace from Divine Mother. So, in closing our katha today, let's group our voices together. Before we do our meditation, we'll go into a small bhajan in praise of Divine Mother. It's a very popular bhajan, so that we can all sing along. I think the lyrics will also be available to everyone, so please group your voices together. This bhajan tells us, Jag ki rakhwale karne wale, Jagadambe Maya, that she guards everything that we have. Rakhwale. Mahima tumhari hai nirali hai Jagadambe Maya. That she is so great, incomparable. Mahima. Dukhiyo ke ghar mein sukh baita de. Dukhiyo, if there's any suffering in our lives, sukh baita de, that she'll bring happiness for us in our lives, in our homes. Andhiya hai ghar mein, if darkness is surrounding us in our lives, in our livelihood, in our existence, in our daily activities. Andhiya ghar mein diya jalaye, that she'll light that diya, she'll spark that divinity, that illumination, that brightness within us that will take away darkness of every kind. Sabki mitare raat kale, that, O Divine Mother, you rid from the lives of all your devotees all kinds of darknesses, and you bestow upon them light in so many different ways. Let's group our voices together. जग की रखवाले करने वाले जगदम्बे मैया, जग की रखवाले करने वाले जगदम्बे मैया, महिमा तुम्हारी है निराली हो जगदम्बे मैया, महिमा तुम्हारी है निराली हो जगदम्बे मैया, जग की रखवाले करने वाले जगदम्बे मैया, जगदम्बे मैया। दुखियों के घर में सुख बैठा दे, दुखियों के घर में सुख बैठा दे, अंधिया है घर में दिया जला दे, दुखियों के घर में सुख बैठा दे, अंधिया है घर में दिया जला दे, सबकी मिटा दे रात काले जगदम्बे मैया, सबकी मिटा दे रात काले जगदम्बे मैया, महिमा तुम्हारी है निराली हो जगदम्बे मैया, महिमा तुम्हारी है निराली हो जगदम्बे मैया, जग की रखवाले करने वाले जगदम्बे मैया, जग की रखवाले करने वाले जगदम्बे मैया, जग की रखवाले करने वाले जगदम्बे मैया, जगदम्बे मैया, जगदम्बे मैया। प्रेम से बोलो आदि शक्ति दुर्गा माता की जय। Devotees of Bhagavan, we will do a small meditation that is based on the Divine Mother. Let us all try to close our eyes and sit straight. Our meditation will be based on a stotra of Divine Mother that's called Mahishasur Mardini Stotram. Mardini means to destroy, to kill. Mahishasur. There's a stotra that is put together, that is composed to praise the Divine Mother for her selfless and most powerful act of destroying Mahishasur, a most powerful demon. In the same way, this stotra is saying that we can all enjoy the grace of Divine Mother to destroy anything from our lives that is here to destroy us, whether physically, whether mentally, whether materially, whether spiritually. The grace of Divine Mother can destroy those which is bad for us. So let's close our eyes, take a deep breath in, focus the mind on Divine Mother, exhale, take another deep breath in, at least to the count of 4, try to hold it there, hold it to the count of 4, exhale, as long as you can, exhale. Let's do this one more time. Inhale. Hold it. Hold it. Exhale. Exhale. Keep your mind in the divine form of Jagadamba Maya on her 9 forms, or on that one form of Durga. We'll chant the Mahishasura Mardini Stotra. So keep the focus on Durga as we chant her glories, how she destroyed Mahishasura, and bring that same level of relief and happiness and freedom from suffering to our lives. Giri Nandini Nandita Medini Vishwani Nodini Nandinute Girivara Vindya Shirodini Vasini Vishnu Vilasini Jishnuyute Bhagavati Heshit Kanta Kutumbani Bhuri Kutumbini Bhuri Krite. Chant Jaya Jaya He Mahishasur Mardini Ramya Kapardini Shaila Sute Suravar Varshini Durdar Darshini Durmukha Marshini Harsharate Tribhuvan Poshini Shankara Toshini Kilnish Moshini Gosharate Danujani Roshini Diti Sita Roshini Durmada Shoshini Sindhu Sute Jaya Jaya He Mahi जगदम्ब मदम्ब कदम्ब बना प्रियवासिनी हारते शिखरी शिरोमणि तुंग हिमालय शृंग निजालय मध्यगते मधु मधु मधुरे मधु कैतव गंजिनी कैतव वंजिनी रासरते चांद जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनी रम्यकपर्दिनी शैलसुते ऐशतकन्दविकन्दितरुन्दवितुन्दितशुण्डगजाधिपते रिपुगजगन्धविदारमचण्डपराक्रमशुण्डमृगाभियते निज भुज दंड निपातित कंद विपातित मुंड बताधिपते चांद जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनी रम्यकपर्दिनी शैलसुते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनी रम्यकपर्दिनी शैलसुते जय जय हे महिषासुरमर्दिनी रम्यकपर्दिनी शैलसुते Keep the eyes closed. In your mind, do Arati to Divine Mother, and she's sitting right in front of you. In your mind, do Arati. Jayambe Gauri Maya Jai Shama Gauri तुमको निश दिन सेवत मैया जी को निश दिन सेवत हरि ब्रह्मा शिवरी ओम जयम्बे गौरी जयम्बे गौरी मैया जय श्यामा गौरी मैया जय श्यामा गौरी तुमको निश दिन सेवत मैया जी को निश दिन सेवत हरि ब्रह्मा शिवरी ओम जयम्बे गौरी ओम जयम्बे गौरी ओम जयम्बे गौरी हरि ओम शांति 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 वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय आदिशक्ति नौ दुर्गा माता की जय Devotees of Divine Mother, before we do closing prayers, again I want to thank all of you. I wish all of you a very, very pleasant and an enjoyable and a blissful Navratri season. Remember, it's a short Navrat, it ends next weekend, next Sunday. And so I want to thank all of you for joining us this morning. I also want to thank all the teachers and Pandits of Sanatan Dharma who have joined us. My dad, Pandit Satyacharan Sharma, my mamu, Pandit Hari Prasad, and all the other Pandits, Dad, Pandit Chandaban Hardwar, my chacha, Pandit Lokmanya Tilak, all the young Pandits also. My brother Pandit Tulsiji, Pandit Amit, my young brother Pandit Nisalji, who is joining us from Guyana. To all the Pandits, they will help you to spend a very blissful Navratri season. I also want to thank everyone who was enrolled in the Radha Krishna Foundation Virtual Academy. It was a very successful period of time. We have more than 200 and almost 250 enrollments, and so the enrollment is now closed. And if you're interested, you can enroll again next semester, which should be March, April. I want to commend all of you parents who have encouraged your children to join, because you're concerned about your child's not only academic but their spiritual and cultural future. And so we would ensure that we do this to the best of our ability to instill values in the form of music and language and spirituality into them. So thank you to all of you again. Classes will begin in Vijayadashmi. Vijayadashmi is next Sunday, a very auspicious day to begin, so ensure that you all show up to start your classes. There's a little video that is made by Radha Krishna Foundation that will be previewing, or premiering rather, right after our satsang is finished. A little video on Yashasvi Jaiswal. We had talked about that a few weeks ago, so please take a few minutes to watch that video. It would be coming on very, very shortly. And next weekend, in light of the continuous lockdown, we will have satsang. For those of you who can join us, we'd appreciate it. You know, Navratri is a night celebration, so Friday evening we'll have a 1-hour satsang from 7:30 to 8:30. On Saturday evening we'll have another 1-hour satsang, so that we can do some chanting and some prayers from 7:30 to 8:30. And then in the last day of Navratri, which would be on Sunday, we will have a regular, hopefully 90-minute satsang to celebrate Vijayadashmi. There's a very interesting katha that we read in Vijayadashmi, so please make special efforts to join us. We wish you all the best for Navratri. We want to enjoin you. Unfortunately, we can't on Monday, but this is the medium that we'll use to enjoin you next Friday and Saturday evenings. Again, to all of you, a very happy and blissful Navratri. Until I see you again, may Divine Mother keep you safe. At this time, we'll join in closing prayers.
Kayena vacha manasendriyarva buddhyatmana va prakrite svabhavat karomi adyat sakalam parasmai Narayanayeeti samarpayami. Om bar bar baramagao harishdevu shrirang padasarojayana payani bhakti sada satsang. Om tvameva mata cha pita tvameva bandhushcha sakha tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Omapati Mahadeva ki jai, Pavan Sutta Hanuman ki jai, Siyabhadra Ramachandra ki jai, Sharanam Prabhu Sab Santan ki jai, Jai Sitaram. जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे। रासेश्वरी राधा रानी की जय। प्रेम से बोलो आदि शक्ति दुर्गा माता की जय।
Radha Krishna Foundation presents an international event. Friday, November 13th, 2020. Deepavali, Return of Light. This live satsang is presented by Radha Krishna Foundation in light of the ongoing lockdown and in support of Sri Lakshmi Mandir of West Palm Beach, Florida. Radha Krishna Dham of number 73 Village, Guyana. Dharma Mandir of London, United Kingdom. And Shiva Mandir Ashram of Legwan Island, Guyana.